And just like that, my journalistic integrity has gone flying out the window together with whatever remaining interest and patience I had for Weird West. That doesn't make me happy. I wanted to like this game, I wanted to finish the story, and I wanted to tick off another completed title on my list, but no, I wasn't willing to do it. I wasn't willing to put up with the bizarre choice of perspective or the finicky controls. No amount of promise of immersive sim gameplay or unique setting and characters was going to get me through it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Weird West is a single-player, top-down action role-playing adventure game set in some spooky fantasy version of the American Wild West. That means there are cowboys, but you also get werewolves, zombies, witches, and a myriad of other fictional foes. You play as 5 unique characters, each with their own personal journey and goal, all taking place across a vast map full of self-contained locations from sprawling frontier towns to magically cursed gold mines. And I'm going to start by being very positive about the setting and the setup of Weird West. They are both wonderfully unique, incredibly imaginative, and lend themselves well to the multiple misadventures that you will find yourself on. And whilst it's tempting to say it's just the Wild West but with zombies and therefore welcome to 2010 when Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare did it, I think that would undersell the amount of narrative work that's gone into this game. The subtle details on show, from the otherworldly slang the characters use, to the religions and cults depicted in the numerous towns and settlements, to the grudges and attitudes from one group of people to another. The world building is to be commended. It's just a shame that what takes place in that world is not very fun. Ooh, got him. For context, Weird West was a game I was actually looking forward to. It was developed by a number of folks who had previously worked on Arcane's titles, and as the entire world knows, I have a great amount of admiration for those games. Well, some of those games. Okay, mostly just Prey 2017, but shush, what I'm saying is that I'm sad. The top-down perspective looked like a nice break from the industry's obsession with first and third-person viewpoints, the emphasis on immersive sim gameplay was music to my ears, and as already mentioned, the setting and setup of the story seemed like some truly original work. But, and there is a big but. The kind of big but made up of 2 very big problems. The perspective and the controls are both awful. The top-down view can be zoomed in and out, but the further you zoom out, the higher the angle, so you unintuitively see less around you. This means enemies are more likely to spot you before you spot them, and they'll start to attack you, which brings us on to controls. Maybe this is just a console gamepad problem, but aiming in Weird West is appalling. At no point in the 15 or so hours I played did I ever feel like I had a handle on aiming and shooting in combat. And it's not like you're ever facing just one enemy. You're usually being rushed by a whole cult chapter at any one time, all descending on you from every possible angle, and you're there fiddling with the joysticks, praying that you'll be pointing in the general postcode of where you want. And this led to many deaths, which led to much frustration, which led to me writing this very sentence. Having a dodgy perspective with responsive controls? Yeah, not awful. Having a clear perspective but wonky controls? Passable. Having the worst of both worlds? Absolutely not. Even simple things get complicated by this setup, like trying to pick up the various objects that litter every location, trying to navigate stealthily when you're trespassing in enemy territory, or just trying to see where you're going when you're in a building with more than one floor and the upstairs geometry keeps blocking your view. I hate to say it, but they really should have just gone with a standard third-person viewpoint. There is nothing gained by the top-down perspective except maybe to hide the somewhat low-detailed look at the characters. It would have made combat, navigation, and just general playing of the game so much smoother. I have other minor whinges, but they weren't deal breakers. The only one that comes to mind right now is why was there no kind of diary, log, or journal option? That feels like a normal thing to expect in a single-player story-driven game where you can have multiple objectives and the long-running plot points can easily be forgotten about. Instead, you just have your next objectives permanently stapled to the left corner with no additional information or context. And one last thing, and it seems weird to complain about because I feel like I brought this on myself. Was there meant to be more immersive sim elements in this game? I thought I remembered seeing trailers and interviews where the creators talked about how Weird West was an immersive sim and would have all the usual immersive-y, simmy goodness. But it isn't really. It's there in a surface level cosmetic kind of way. You can knock over a barrel of oil, pick up a torch, throw it into the oil spill, trigger a massive blaze and then shoot your arrow through the fire and turn it into a fire arrow. You can stack boxes and objects to reach new areas or blow up doors to get inside locked buildings, but none of it hits the same way like it did in Deus Ex or Prey. Your objectives are almost always to go to a location and kill a person or group of people or destroy a thing or place. And there's no different ways to go about these objectives. Whether you kill them with bullets or explosives or a swift stab with a kitchen knife, the results are ultimately the same. The immersive sim aspects are not integral to the core game. They're more like distractions and toys for the player to mess with in their spare time before going back to the main story. And it's a shame because if the immersive sim elements were more prominent, maybe I could have looked past the other issues because I am dying for more of that shit. As it stands, Weird West is an admirable attempt at trying something new, and it really does sadden me to not have enjoyed it, especially considering the talent involved. There have been talks about a new control scheme being introduced in a future update, so we'll have to wait and see if that improves things. But for now, I'll just have to sulk and recreate the intended experience by playing Prey 2017 and Desperado at the same time whilst listening to the Addams Family theme tune on repeat.